Welcome to your Real Estate Update with Darren Ahearn. Each week, we break down housing trends, mortgage updates, buyer and seller strategies, and the local changes shaping Frederick County and beyond. No fluff, just smart insight to help you make better decisions with your home and your money.
All righty. Hey, folks, welcome back to your Real Estate Update. I am Darren Ahearn with RE/MAX Results, bringing you over 23 years experience in the Maryland and Pennsylvania, and really anywhere that you're looking to buy, sell a home, or have help in. We've got really good professionals that we can refer you to and get you the help that you deserve and need. So, all right, beautiful day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I want to remind all of our listeners and everybody out there real quick to hit the thumbs up, the like, subscribe button, and to share and have it where the bell comes on, because every time we come up live on Everything Frederick, you will see, you'll be able to tune in and see what was happening and the latest and greatest. So this is your weekly dose of real estate updates. And here we are live at Studio 401 right in Frederick, Maryland. So thank you guys for tuning in once again. So today is a fun one. We're going to dive right into it. No pressure here. I have my boss on with me today, so anything I say or do cannot be held against me. That's so we got to be careful here today. No, she's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the beautiful platform here on the Your Frederick Update and for real estate, Miss Sandy Olson.
Hey, hi Darren. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's another day, as we say in real estate, It's another day in paradise.
Yeah.
You know that. We stay positive all the time. I've had people ask me, have you ever had a bad day? Never. Nope. Never happens in real estate.
Yeah.
Everything is beautiful. The sun is out. The roses are blooming now, and it's wonderful. So but thank you for coming on and taking the time today. I thought this would be a really fun time and a special treat to be able to introduce you and RE/MAX and all that good stuff like that. So we're going to dive right on into it. So, Sandy, I'm going to take you back in time before introduce yourself and everything. Yeah, we're going to go back in time here. Do you remember that picture right there?
Some of our awards, meetings, yeah.
Yeah, so for the last 12 plus years, we've been to Las Vegas and conferences and here and there and everywhere with a whole bunch of agents from our office. And this was one of the awards. And, of course, always have to have the flying RE/MAX balloon behind us. I'm still waiting to get into the real thing, though, and but I'm afraid of heights a little bit, but especially in a tiny little basket like those things are. But that's on my bucket list, no pun intended, to get into one of the baskets there. It looks like a little bucket, and to fly around in a RE/MAX balloon. So maybe I'll do that on the last day of my whole career, last house ever sold, or whatever it is. I don't know, or my last breath. So if something bad happens, it's no big deal. I lived out my whole life. I'm good. So anyways, all right. I think we may even have another picture there. If you could put that up of some sort. So there we go.
Oh,
all right. So tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about this here. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm Sandy Olson. I'm the broker owner at RE/MAX Results. I've been in the business for 26 years, been a broker for 20 of those years, been with RE/MAX the entire time. Love the company. Just they've got great tools, technology, and support. So that picture, however, I'm also a real estate commissioner for the state of Maryland, and I just got sworn in for a second 4-year term. And so there's my certificate. Had to go down the courthouse and swear in, and they give you a big old certificate for it. So 4 more years on the real estate commission. So learn a lot there as well as for what agents should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. What gets them in trouble.
What a job that is. I love the size of the certificate there, Sandy, because like the bigger the certificate, the more responsibilities, the more fun you get to have, the more things you get to pay attention to, the more responsibility. So yeah, that is a big job. And I'm grateful that you are there to be able to give guidance and direction and deal with all the fun things at the Maryland Real Estate Commission down in Annapolis. All right. I think we had another picture maybe here as we are introducing, opening things up. Is that one on there? Oh, yeah. There we go. I think you had that one there.
That was that was in Vegas. They have the annual convention every year in Vegas. So lots of great speakers, lots of great entertainment, lots of mastermind groups, lots of networking. So it's always a fun time. And, the award that you got before was at one of those events, I believe. So it's really fun to network with people from all over the world. It's a great event.
Yep. And I think there's another one of us. And I think I slid in there with the owner way back. The owner, Gail, it's Lininger, who's part husband and wife ownership of RE/MAX. So tell us about that picture.
Yeah. So there we were it was again at one of the conferences, and
that was in Vegas.
And that was in Vegas. They do it in Vegas every year. Sometimes I wish they'd switch. I'm not a huge gambler.
I'm looking
but anyway.
for Honolulu, Hawaii. You know that.
Yeah, that's a long flight though, Darren. So anyway, yeah. So that was and this is our achievement award for last year of our entire office. What we produced there here in our Frederick, and we also have a location in Hagerstown. I'm licensed in 4 states as well, so it's Maryland, PA, Virginia, and West Virginia. So great collaborative group, great group of people. So yeah, so we're very proud of that achievement award each year.
Yeah, there you go. All right, are there any other photos or when did you want to? You had a little video kind of thing. I didn't see it, by the way.
So well, so I did this little Sora video.
Okay.
This was around Halloween. When I just popped this out on Facebook just as a little trick or treat fan thing, just like a 10-minute little video or 10-second little video, just saying, "Hey, I'm your broker, got your back, and happy Halloween." So.
Some brokers vanish when the market gets scary. Not me. I've got my agents' backs like holy water on a vampire. Haunted contracts? I'm on it. Ghosted buyers? I'll help you bring them back from the dead. Appraisal?
But
it's going. There you go. That gives you a little taste right there of kind of the fun stuff we have, especially around Halloween, you know, trick or treat. You want your house sold? How much? What's happening here? Depends on how much candy we're going to get, right? So
that's right.
All righty. Good stuff. I think, were there any other photos or anything else there to share? I think there we got it. That's one of my favorites. There you go, Sandy. How's that?
Yeah.
That's not a place. It is a feeling. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. All kinds of ins and outs from our broker owner's perspective about home ownership. And so that's what we're going to dive into. All right, here we go. How in the world? So you introduced yourself, told everybody a little bit about yourself. And then how did you get into real estate? Like, how did this happen to you? I know how it happened to me, and I shared it in our first episode. This is our 3rd episode, so you can just go back to the first one. But how did it happen to you, Sandy?
So I was in a transition phase in my life where I was getting a divorce. And I was going back to school. So I went back to Mount St. Mary's to get my bachelor's degree in business. And I was working for a dental lab at the time and traveling all over the place. Had 2 little kids at home. And so I decided after finishing my degree that I wanted to use my business degree for something else, that I didn't have to travel all over tri-state area all the time. So I actually had another friend who was in real estate and decided she talked me into doing it and joining her team. So I was on her team for about 6 to 9 months and then realized, I kind of want to do this on my own. I grown up in Frederick, know the area really well and had plenty of, people to help and serve. So went out on my own again, stayed with the same company, stayed with RE/MAX. And then I guess it was about 5-6 years in, I'd already gotten my associate broker's license. You have to be in for 3 years to get that and take an extra 135 hours of education. And so I had my associate broker's license and then had the opportunity to take over another RE/MAX office. And we changed the name to RE/MAX Results and started out with 3 agents and myself, and ended up now today we're at 60 and doing really well and have two locations as well.
Wow.
So that's my story. And once you jump into it, you're just you're in.
That's it. You're not allowed out once you get licensed. So we have that in common, Sandy. We both have business degrees. And then the one thing that didn't happen to me is I didn't have a girlfriend I met with, and probably not an adult bedrooms or something else, to find out about this whole venture of, try real estate, jump into it. You'll love it. You'll never look back. This is the fun side of the island. So didn't have quite that experience, but in transition, same thing. We all go through different transitions in life. And that gets us to the next big stepping stone that gets us to where we find great success if we work hard and diligent. So you've done an amazing job of hearing the history of that. Most people don't know. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Maybe the blood, sweat, and tears that has gone into tens and hundreds of thousands of hours practically to be able to get to the place where we learned this business and we're able to serve and help the people and public out there. So very good. So that's how you got into it. And then the motivation behind it, I think you shared a little bit. The big why, we talk about that a lot, and you challenge all of us agents all the time of, why do we do this? So what are some of your hobbies, fun things, goals in life, and the big whys?
Well, right now at this point in time in my life, I have my kids are grown and launched, and I have grandkids. And so, just being able to travel and be with them. And I love to play golf and, just, living the good life. But I really, really do enjoy being part of the office every day and being there for all of you all and, keeping everybody up to date with everything that's going on. It's never a dull moment. Every single transaction that we do is different. Even though you can have two identical houses that you're selling, the situation is always different. We're helping people that divorces, deaths in families, moving to take another job, downsizing, just all kinds of things. So each transaction is truly individual and different. It's not just about selling houses.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. One of the big things, you had me at golf. I am definitely not a goofer golfer. I am terrible at it. I will come out and ride around on the cart with you guys and find out where's the turn, where's the hot dogs, where's the good stuff. But boy, oh boy, you got me on that one, the golf thing. I tried, I've tried, but people assume I know you do really well with that. But it's so funny in life, Sandy, people don't know all the ins and outs of how much work, how much time, how much is invested and all that. They do. They actually think we're golfing all day sometimes. Or go to the community swimming pool, throwing sticks in the yard. It's simple. Take a few little pictures with your cell phone, throw it up in the MLS. Boom, you got tons of show-ins and a ton of offers and all that. So.
Sure.
We're going to dive a little deeper here. As a broker owner, this is the thing that with the whole public, you talked about how being behind the scenes, people, probably good. They don't never talk to you. We don't, but the whole thing, it's like, hey, when the boss has to get involved, it's bad. Right. But a lot of people don't know exactly what role, how to navigate through things and before and after transactions. But some of the different things we're going to talk about is in real estate. My motto since 23, 24 almost years ago has always been, it's not about the home, it's about serving you. And so this isn't just about getting into this and it's just the commission. You guys just want the commission. You just want the money. You just want a quick sale or a quick deal. And that's why you're telling me to price my house so low or doing this and doing that and all that. But it's about life transitions. And so talk a little bit about that, about the real big reason that we have a heart for this. And I know you do.
So, I don't know if everybody knows that when you get your real estate license, you can't just go out and start selling homes or helping people sell homes. You do have to associate with a broker. You do have to be under broker supervision. And what my role is as the broker is to make sure I am on top of all the laws, rules, regulations, make sure our agents are trained on all those laws, rules, regulations, making sure they have the tools that they need. You guys are in it, boots on the ground, day to day, and we are here to support all of that and have your back. We can't all do everything. So it's important for us to make sure that you guys are, know the rules, know the laws, know the regulations when they come out. Make sure you have the tools that you need to give the highest level of service. And then, of course, compliance, when those contracts come in, we've got to make sure all of that's legal and all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But it's also, I'm pretty much on the phone every single day with an agent who either needs help navigating through a difficult situation or, oh my gosh, we've got a driveway that's over on someone else's property. We've got mold in the house that we didn't know we had. Nobody wants to fix it.
That's a 4-letter word, by the way.
Yes. Just all kinds of different scenarios. Somebody just ghosts us. I mean, we've had people who just did show up to settlement and like, how do we find them and where do we go? And so pretty much every single day, there's some sort of scenario that, agents are calling either myself or my associate broker, Lisa, in the office just to help navigate, through every single different difficult situation. Sometimes it's the property, sometimes it's the people.
Sometimes you have to separate those things to make sure we have clarification on it. So yeah, I, as you know, I'm so grateful and thankful with your support, knowledge, and insight. I'm really grateful and thankful that my office is literally just a few steps away from yours because so that's really important. And I mean, countless times, my favorite thing in how many times I've been able to come to you over the years with things where sometimes we keep the door open. Sometimes you have to close and say, you're not going to believe this. You can't make this up. Just when we thought we've seen it all, I need to know what you think about this as our broker. And so there are situations, you know, Sandy, where I know enough to be dangerous and how to navigate through a lot of contracts and things. We surely do not ever practice law. We always want to make sure the public knows you have a right to seek legal counsel, anything you don't understand or whatever. But at the end of the day, we deal with situations, and this is you. I like as a firefighter. I'm surprised you don't have. I'm gonna start bringing fire extinguishers in your office. But my favorite thing that you have in the office really is the box of tissues. There's not too many people that have helped me through tears, wiped tears away, or made me cry, but you. And there have been those situations where if you can't cry hard enough, you got to start laughing about it. You know, no one's dying here, but boy, oh boy, there are days, Sandy, as you know, this is really no joking around. This is people's lives. We're talking about the largest transaction, the most scariest, complex, stressful thing that someone is ever going to go through in their life with buying and selling a home. So I thank God that you've been able to help me through things and talk me off. You've talked me off the ledge. You've helped me to understand that, no, this is going to be okay. And I thank God because there's never been a transaction. There's never been a situation where you've, you know, said to me, we're going to need to get legal counsel on this. You're going to need help with this beyond me. And I'll tell you, it feels like it's gotten close because there are situations that arise in real estate that you just sometimes don't see coming. And it's not because we don't have the lack of knowledge or the education or the training, because you provide that to such a high level degree that is amazing. But this is becoming my 23 years and your years beyond mine. We have seen this become so much more complex and so much more difficult to navigate through. And that's what we want to talk about also next and all that, about the human connection. You know, this is not something, and we're going to talk a little bit later in the program about AI stuff and how that's changing all those and get your thoughts on it. But the human element of this and what people really need to walk down this path of home ownership and selling and buying or investing or getting out of rental or getting into a rental or whatever it is that deals with brand new builds, whatever deals with housing and the American dream. That's what I love being on the front lines with and having as a partnership, being able to do this. So let's talk about, before we get into some of these things real quick, I do want to mention, and then we'll take a commercial break and thanking all of our sponsors and everything. First of all, I wanted to ask you this. What do you think about the real estate market? Before we get into situational things and all that, how do you feel about the market?
Well, we are very lucky that we are in the mid-Atlantic area because the market here has stayed pretty steady. You know, still, it's been a little difficult with some of the layoffs and things like that have happened, but we still are huge demand still, and we still have inventory is going up, which we're happy about. We are starting to see more homes come on the market. For sure, a lot more this year than there was last year, which is good for buyers. But the interest rates are kind of staying steady. And I think some people think that they're going to go back to that, 3%. And that was just artificial. That was a COVID event that happened and they were artificially low. So, but so the demand is still definitely out there. Sellers need to make sure their properties are in good condition and are priced well because it has shifted a little bit. And buyers have a little bit more demand than they can demand more things like inspections and things that they could. And during the COVID time, when you'd put a house on the market in 5 minutes, you'd have 30 offers. And navigating through that, a lot of sellers thought, oh, you guys have an easy job. Navigating through 30 offers is tough.
That keeps us awake at night. There's nights we go sleepless in Frederick, we call it.
Like, which ones here, escalation clauses, all kinds of stuff. So the market right now, we're in the mid-Atlantic region. It's still very good here. Higher end stuff is sitting a little bit longer. But if you're priced right and in good condition in that probably 300 to 800 range, it's going pretty quickly. But there is inventory on the market, and it's real important to have it priced right in great condition.
Yeah. So you mentioned inventory, and on my cell phone, as you know, I carry with me everywhere to show people and share what's happening. You're right. We're today 669 properties. That does not include the coming soons and all that, but that is the resale of new ones. And people say, well, what does that really mean? Like you said earlier, that the buyers are excited. Like, hey, we have more to pick from. This is great. Sellers are like, uh-oh, that's more competition. That's not good. Depends on where you're at. It's hyper local, as we know, and definitely different communities and such like that. But being at 669 today, let's look in perspective. This time last year, 517. So we're up nearly 20% inventory. It sounds like a catastrophic number, but I've said many times, not really. Because what's on paper and what's happening with buyer settlement and what's happening with buyer demand and all these other factors, like you said, we're in a really good area. We are not seeing anything massively catastrophic, especially even with values being flattered down just a hair. And in certain areas, we're up 2 to 3% year to date. But just 5 weeks ago, Sandy, we were at 558. And so we are up almost 90 homes just in 5 weeks. And people would ask, does that cause panic? How would you describe that with these kind of changes and shifting of markets? How would you describe that as a broker?
So one of the things that we look at is sort of the attrition rate or inventory rate. And so a really healthy market would have about 6 months worth of inventory. I know people don't want to hear that, but about 6 months worth of inventory, meaning it would take, if buyers came on the market today, it would take 6 months to eat that inventory up if no other homes went on the market. Well, right now we're at about a 3-month inventory rate. So we're still it's still a little bit more seller, more of a seller's market. Again, we're finding though that things are sitting a little bit longer, 60 days. I've been doing this for 26 years. There was a time in a recession where your properties would stay on the market 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and we would have many listings.
I was hoping you weren't going to bring up 08, 9, 10, 11.
So it's still, I think that people get spoiled sometimes, but it's still very much a good market, a great demand, seller's market still. Great time to put your house on the market. It's also a great time to buy, Real estate's always been a great investment, and it's where you're living. I always say you're going to pay your own mortgage or somebody else's if you're renting. So it's still just like about a 3-month supply. We would love to see it get a little bit more, to be honest with you, more of a 4 or 5, even 6 month supply, for the buyers out there. Sellers may not want to hear that, but.
So those are some of the general ideas about a little bit of our area, the Frederick update and the real estate market here, and how it's true. We've been saying, if you listen to national news and everything in parts of Texas or Florida and other places, Cape Coral, 9.8%. They are down year over year, and they're down 23 or 28% from their high peak, and Austin, Texas, and all these places. But, we pay attention a tiny bit to that just to get a little bit of a versus flavor. But at the end of the day, this is our region. This is our market. And like you said, this trying to convince certain people that this is actually really good still. This is amazing. You can't even imagine. And one of the numbers I do not carry on my phone, Sandy, is the peak of inventory that Frederick County experienced. And I believe, I don't know the exact date, but it was definitely back in 2010, where we had 2,376 homes for the market. And that was with almost 20 to 30% less population. Let that sink in, right?
Right.
So that was unbelievable, catastrophic. I tell people, look, for every one house, for every one house for sale, sometimes going the lowest was 99, and that didn't include the new homes and all that. And that was during COVID time in 2021, where we hit the lowest inventory ever. And it's like for every one house we had for sale, we had 10 buyers fighting over it and fist fights in the front yard. We had to call the police. The police were never so busy helping us as agents in real estate than during COVID.
Yep.
No one was out except all the buyers, and we had all the fist fights happening, right? And then for every, 20 homes or 15 or 17 homes for sale, we only had one buyer. That's the best way to describe what was happening within the market at those times. So, all right, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. Thank all of our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to dive deep into different scenarios that you definitely don't want to miss, that I guarantee one or more of these affects you as a buyer or seller. So here we go.
Sponsored by Atlas Wood Floors, serving the area for more than 34 years. Wood floors, luxury vinyl plank. Anything that you put on your floor, they can handle it. Check out their Google reviews and give them a call today. 301-948-9663. That's 301-948. Wood. Be sure to ask for Jeff Koger or go to atlaswoodfloors.net. Think you've seen it all? Danny Gurry keeps finding Frederick's hidden gems. Family spots, mom and pops, and can't miss bites. Good Morning Frederick. Make sure to watch live at 9 a.m. every weekday on Facebook and YouTube.
This is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network. Your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.
All right, welcome back to your real estate update, your weekly dose. And again, I have our broker owner of RE/MAX Results, where I proudly get to be affiliated and be part of, is Miss Sandy Olson. So thank you. All right, we're going to dive right into it. Here we go. We told you we're going to get into really crazy stuff here. So Sandy, no pressure here, but here it is. First one, first-time home buyers overcoming the fear and uncertainty. What would you say about that?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's really, really important for a first-time home buyer to take the time, and us as agents to take the time to do what we call buyer consultation, where they really come into the office and they learn the whole process and what's going to happen. And it just really, when you have that professional working with you, full-time professional, and doing that buyer consultation, so you really become educated on what this is going to look like. And we're going to get you connected with a lender, so you'll be very comfortable about what you can afford and what you can't afford, and you really want to have that experience. And if you're with an agent who's just kind of throwing you paperwork in an email and saying sign it, that's not going to make you feel comfortable and not going to make you feel trustworthy with the process. So it is important to meet with that agent. I know a lot of people are so excited and they just want to go out and start showing houses, seeing houses, and they've looked on Zillow and they've picked all the houses that they want and all those things. Or they went to remax.com and found us there. But it's really important for you to sit down with your agent and take about at least an hour to go through that whole process of what it's going to look like. So we really know what your wants and needs are and what you can afford and what you can't afford. So you're very comfortable with the process.
Yep. Very important. I love doing the phone interview thing. I got a new client now that's coming from Massachusetts, moving in the area. And like you said, we had about a 30-minute phone call to go over a lot of great ideas to find out what it is important to them. And then we meet in person and go from there. So, all right, divorce situations and emotional involvement.
So this is probably one of the toughest ones that we deal with.
I call it Jerry Springer's the real estate agent.
I remember years ago, there was a listing on the market and it said at the bottom, do not go near the property. Wife's mad, has a gun. So it's like, okay, I'm not sure how we're going to get this sold. And we've had situations where, one person doesn't want to leave the property. They're mad at the other person. And, I get those phone calls regularly where I have to kind of jump in and calm everybody down. And what do we need to have here to get done? We want to get all of us want to get past this. So let's try to calm emotions. And we had one seller who woman was living in the house and the husband decided to write profanity on the side of the house while it was on the market. So all those fun things, but we're dealing with people in, very emotional situations. And so sometimes we just have to, work through those and try to get everybody on the same page because we all want to get past this part of their process.
Yeah. It can be definitely difficult. No doubt about it. Very emotional.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that now. Estate sales and the loss of a loved one. This, somebody had asked me what's one of the most difficult things and challenges, not hard as far as transactionally, but difficult, tough things emotionally as an agent in my whole career. And that has always, no doubt, has been a few times now, as you know, Sandy, a loss of a client that has passed away unexpectedly during a transaction.
Yeah.
And all of the ins and outs of that. And that is just unbelievable. We literally I feel like just go straight from absolutely, we're already wearing 7 hats and I feel like I'm a therapist half the time, but in situations like this, and this just happened this last year to me, and it's transaction, and, you know, just being able to be there and help and console and go through it all. Once we get through all the legal stuff and the contracts and how's this and how's that work now, the biggest thing is being there for the family and the loved ones, because it's definitely not about the transaction. It never has been. It's really about helping people get through life and to get to what they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, that is a very tough time, and people are emotionally attached to that home and that person being in that home. So it really can be very difficult. I had a situation where I got a call from one of our agents. They were supposed to settle the next day, and the woman who lived in the property saw a cardinal on her front porch, and she swore that that was her deceased loved one giving her a message, and so she didn't want to go to settlement. So we really had to, you know, sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation about getting her to the other side of that. So these are the things that, you know, we deal with on a daily basis. Again, it's different. The properties can be very similar, but everybody's emotional attachment or what they're going through is very individualized, and you know, just having to have those difficult conversations sometimes with people.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenging things, like you said, because we can't change real estate law and rules and regulations and all these other things and the rules just because of a situation that's unfortunate. And that, as much as we would like to, at the end of the day, like you said, Sandy, it's hard to set. It's hard at times to have to separate those, but we get through it, and that's the good part. And you know what? Most people really do come to an understanding of how things work, what has to be done, and at the end of the day, the decisions that have to be made contractually or not. And so it's really good, and that's what I love about this. That's something I just love so much.
Yep.
Is knowing that we build that confidence and trust level so high with the consumers that this isn't like selling a car or furniture, even though those aren't bad jobs and careers and nothing like that. But this, people really let you in their lives in this. And that's what we love, is to the degree that we can really serve and help. What about this downsizing after 30 years? Talking about emotional.
Yeah.
Woo, 30 years in a family home.
You know, and this is where we as a real estate professional want to help you get your home sold. But you may not want to paint over those lines of where your children, you know, were growing and, you know, some of the things that may be in the backyard of your play sets and all those things that were so important for you and your family. And yet they've worn their time out, and it's time, you know, we want people to come in and see the home as theirs, not, you know, yours for 30 years. And it's tough. It really is tough, because you have great memories in that home, and downsizing is tough as well, because what do you get rid of? What do you want to keep? So, but we have lots of professionals out there that help with that as well. So
I just got done telling a client, I'll rent an extra pod for you. I'll take that one up. They looked at me like, what? I think they got it later, like, oh, you're helping me downsize and get rid of things out of this house.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. It's everything we suggest, and this is important, Sandy. Everything we suggest really is for the benefit of the consumer.
Yes.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Constantly, we are walking around and not sleeping sometimes at night, thinking about, how does this benefit my client? How does this professionally represent them? How does this protect and do their fiduciary responsibilities that we have signed up to and taken that pledge to be able to do the best of our abilities within that. And that's where the difference is, with the experience and the heart. You know, you can teach somebody anything, Sandy, but you can't give them the heart. You can't give them the motivation. And that's the difference as well. What about job relocations and time pressures?
Oh boy. This was really tough during COVID. because we had some states that kind of just shut the real estate industry down, and we had some people who were relocating, especially like Pennsylvania, and they just shut it down. And we had people who had to relocate because of a military job, and they had their stuff on a truck, and you couldn't settle. So navigating through all of those and then trying to find the resources to help those people when the law or the government gets in the way in such a case like that. But we were able to, work around it, find somebody in the state of Maryland who, thankfully, we had Larry Hogan at that time,
Yes.
who said that we were essential workers.
Thank God. Thank you, Larry.
So we had people cross the line and come get their settlement done in Maryland because we were still considered essential. So, yeah, those relocation and it's tough because you got families and kids going into schools and trying to find the right situation for each of those families. And it's very emotional, and it's it's tough because they're coming to a brand new area, but we like to tell them all about the community. Frederick's a great place, and get them integrated.
Yeah. Another big one is financial hardships. And Sandy, as we see, I tell people all the time, when I get those phone calls, they said, "Hey, Darren, we need you in our living room. We're having some challenges, whether it's job loss or just credit card debt or financial, or, life comes at you fast. It could be medical bills, could be anything. No judgment ever. I tell people all the time, you are hardly alone. If you knew how much life comes at you fast situations, you're normal. It happens at some point in life. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter about any of it. It's just life. And the beautiful part is when that happens. What are your thoughts on that with financial hardships?
Well, again, get your realtor involved because a lot of times people have equity in their homes and they don't really realize it. So if you're not able to make your mortgage payment, call your realtor ASAP. Sometimes we get involved after they've missed several payments, and it makes it much more difficult. And and that's eating up your equity in your home. So you may have equity and be able to get out of it and then find a place that you can afford at the time. But I know sometimes it's embarrassing for people and they feel bad and they don't want to put themselves out there for that, but they wait too long. So we are here to help. Believe me, we've worked with so many people who have been in those situations, and we're empathetic to that. We are here to help. We're not going to, as Darren said, no judgment at all. You are where you are, and we're here to help get you out of it, but don't delay is the point.
That's good. There you go.
Yeah.
Next big one, multi-generational family dynamic.
So they did just change and have a law in Maryland now where you can have additional properties on I'm blocking on it right now. ADUs, accessory dwelling units on your property, and it can't be denied if the property would fit that. So that's a really good thing. So multi-generational. Sometimes you have parents who want to downsize or come move to you. So you may be able to add that additional dwelling unit onto your property and have your loved one, your family member, live there with you. So new law just changed. Call us. We can tell you all about it and walk you through that because the inventory isn't always there for those situations.
Yeah, and this is one of the highest demands now that we're seeing is multi-generational because of the cost of everything and all of it, and the kids needing maybe some of the funds to help pay for things from the parents, and it's just a great way to do it. And when I saw this, come out, considering I have 6 boys, I thought, I don't know which one, but one of my boys, I'm going to help them buy a property that's really big, lots of land. So I have my ticket punched. I have a guarantee, no excuses held back of why I can't live right next to you and you take care of me.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes, Darren.
Hey, come on. I need help here.
I love your boys. They're great.
They are something.
One of them will step up for sure.
Blended families making the housing decision.
Yeah. So this is a tough one as well. So sometimes you have, or even a death in the family, but you have all kinds of brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, all involved. And nobody can come on the same page, and you've got to have 6 people sign that contract. So, I know, Darren, you've navigated some of those and trying to get all parties on the same page. And again, you have to let people see the vision of what it looks like afterward. We don't want to stay in this for a long period of time. The property's got to be sold. So Yeah, that can be a lot of fun. So when you have to call 6 different people each time part of the negotiation goes through. So, yeah.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break here and thank our sponsors. When we come back, Sandy, we are going to talk about the crazy things that come up in regular transactions. From your viewpoint, what do you think about those as a broker owner? So thank you to our sponsors. Here we go.
Life doesn't always go as planned, but with Connie Phillips Insurance, you'll be ready for whatever comes your way. As an independent agent, CPI shops multiple carriers to find the right coverage at the right price. Auto, home, life, or business, we got you covered with personal service you can trust. Call Connie Phillips Insurance today at 301-662-5717. Remember, advising what's in your best interest, not just selling policies.
Hi there, I'm Brianne Paul, an attorney with Community Title Network, the most trusted title partner for real estate professionals, buyers, and sellers. Our experienced attorneys, settlement agents, and processing staff put you at ease whether your closing involves residential real estate, commercial real estate, or other real estate matters in between. We work with the most respected title underwriters in the region to make sure your rights are protected and all title problems are resolved quickly. Experience close to home with our many locations, serving Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, Washington, D.C., and Ohio, as well as remote signing options available. Reliable, efficient, top-notch service. That's Community Title Network. How can we help you today? Find us online at www.communitytn.com or call us at 301-304-6620.
Alrighty, we're back. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, share, get it out there to everyone. And our past episodes, you can definitely go back and check out all the great information that we like to provide on your real estate updates. So, all right, Sandy, here we go. These are fun stuff. We're going to get into some of the fun challenges and things also continuing into it. In regular transactions, all the surprises and things from your perspective, a broker, what are the things that you think about, as far as the inspection surprise?
So, yes, a lot of times you may, especially wells and septics anymore. We have a lot of wells and septics, and we are finding that a lot of those septics aren't, they're failing the inspection. So it can be very costly for the seller to have to replace that. And sometimes they don't want to, but you can't really sell a house without a septic. So, those are things that just come up, and sometimes you have to delay settlement. Things may be extended. We have structural issues that come up, mold that comes up. Darren, we just did one with you where the inspector didn't notice mold, but the appraiser did. So then we had to go back and deal with what the lender wanted instead of just the buyer or the home inspector. So, navigating that and then trying to manage everybody's expectations of when a settlement has to be delayed because of these reasons, that's tough because people are ready to move and need a place to go. And but we work through it. We, navigate through it and help people get to where they need to go.
The fun I just had a settlement last week, and not only did we have a septic failure and a pipe had to be replaced and all that kind of stuff, we had a water failure too. We had all kinds of fun. This was a great one. Mm-hmm. And but we worked through it, and that's what's so important is there's always typically a solution. Very few times do we ever see the plane that's going to crash and burn. It really is. And so that's what I love about this is coming up with the solutions and the fixes to all these things to make things happen. Sometimes it just takes a little time. Sometimes it takes a whole bunch of money, and we figure out who's going to pay for this mess. How did this happen? But it's good.
Hey, we had bats in one property, and you can't just exterminate bats. You have to move them. $18,000 to move the bats.
$18,000 to move bats.
Yep.
I want to be a bat. Wow, I have never had that one, so let's not talk about that. Yeah. We're not in there. There's no bats in Frederick, Maryland, right?
Sure.
Financial challenges. Woo, we talked a little bit about that already, but in the transaction, what comes to your mind about that?
Well, sometimes people aren't aware that they have liens on their property. Sometimes they haven't paid their IRS bills. And so, everybody's moving along. The listing agent doesn't know about it because it never came. They didn't tell the listing agent about it. And then it goes to the title company. And the title company is pulling everything up to see if there's any liens on this property. And I would say probably the IRS liens are the biggest. That we find that people forget about, or they don't think it's attached to their property. Well, now they're upside down and they don't have the money the equity to cover that lien. So again, something else we have to navigate. What do we need to talk to about short sales at that point? And or can they find the money to pay that lien off somehow? And so yeah, those are sometimes the last minute things that come up. So it's really important to try to think of all those things when you're sitting down with your realtor when you're listing the property, so we don't get those last minute surprises.
Yeah, those are never fun. Yeah. And it's funny, Sandy, even is my intake sheet in my interview process that can take an hour or two, and people say, why does it take so long? Why so many questions? This is not an interrogation.
Right.
This is Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. And
exactly.
One piece of information, right. And one piece of information like this that's missing, whether it's a buyer with like, hey, have you ever had a car repossessed or any bankruptcies or run this? People, we tell people all the time, I'd like to share that like, this is really to help you, because if there's one piece of info, I don't need to know beyond just the yes and no, because it's so crucial to know, am I going to be able to help you or not? Or is it going to just take more time? Is it going to take help getting you the help to resolve things that maybe you don't, not only maybe embarrassed about, but you don't even know where to turn to. And that's something I find a lot. And so when it comes on the south side, Sandy, you're right. You don't think of it like somebody would have IRS liens or tax. I've had people owe Maryland state taxes. I mean, everything, mechanics liens, you name it. And I say, it's fine. Right. We just need to get this worked out, and you might as well face it head on. And I am partnering with you side by side to help you as best as possible, because the last thing you want to do is put the house in the market, spend thousands of dollars, all kinds of time, get all excited, only to find out you can't sell right now until. That is the worst scenario. So those are some surprises. Let's get into family disagreements, the Jerry Springer stuff now.
So we had one recently, and again, it was a divorce situation. Woman did not want to move, wouldn't accept any offers. Husband wanted to move. We had to get the attorneys involved because they just weren't agreeing on anything. And so my phone was getting blown up, constant calls, agent getting constant calls, buyer agent getting constant calls. Why are we not moving? So again, it's about just trying to deal with the emotions of the situation and get beyond it, which we finally did.
Yeah. My biggest thing, surprise was, I didn't get warned. The state sales, when you have like 7 people involved, we get the settlement. Yep. And there's always that one. And I had the one where the one person at settlement said, no, I'm supposed to get more money. I paid for X, Y, Z, and Grandpap would have wanted me to have this. Blah, blah. And it went nuts. It was so bad, Sandy, that the buyer started crying. We had to remove family members from the settlement office and separate them. And I'll tell you, I never wanted to have that happen again. That was in my early career when I was just a rookie. And I had no idea there's this thing called family disputes when it comes to estate sales and real estate. And boy, I got schooled that day. I almost wanted to go out and buy a gun and say, the next time this happens, I'm going to take care of business. You don't have to worry about police. I am the police. I'm the real estate policeman. So these are tough things, though. But we try to be really sensitive to these issues, honestly. But at the end of the day, this makes things a lot more challenging, especially if we are not in the know and the informed of certain things like that. And we could spend hours on this, but the next one would be the fun one. Unexpected title issues. Brianne's going to be on me from Community Title soon. She's going to have fun with this one. But from a broker's perspective, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and that's the thing. Once again, we find these things out like sometimes just a few days before settlement. Or, the surveyor goes out and we find that somebody's driveway is on somebody else's property, or somebody's fence line is on somebody else's property. And then there's a dispute that has been going on about that nobody told us about.
Yep.
So yes, deeds, titles, surveys, all of those things that definitely, and again, if we can catch them sooner rather than later, there's always, as Darren said, there's a solution usually, but it may take time. So
cause a train wreck.
Correct.
We don't like train wrecks. Appraisal problems. This never valued. There's never every single seller. Did you know that 84% of sellers actually expect to get what the asking price is? I just heard a podcast on that recently. It's good. Sandy, what are your thoughts about these appraisal things?
Yeah. Well, again, it's important to take the advice of your realtor and get it priced correctly, because you don't want, again, at the last minute for the appraisal to come in low. Or we are finding now that appraisers are have higher level of requirements now that they have to look at roofs and what's the age of the roof, and if it's less than a 5-year lifespan on it, that's an issue, and that's an issue with insurance. So the appraiser is going to pull that out. Mold, as I said, we've got appraisers now looking for mold, and they used to just go by what the inspector said, but that's not the case anymore.
Nope.
So. And again, that tends to happen towards the end of the transaction. And now you've got these things that you have to renegotiate, who's fixing what and how and when. So the more that we can, again, find out about these issues up front and take care of them, it just makes the process go so much more smoothly.
Yeah, it's not always evaluation issues, for value. It's now, obviously, they're going from safety issues and things, and I'm going to have entire programs on that. In fact, Sandy, I'll be pulling Kenny McLean in here as I do on my radio program twice a year to ask him about how he thinks and feels about this. But, Sandy, one of the things I was thinking about is sometimes I almost wish we could just have the appraisal done before the home inspection. Mm-hmm. Because it's almost like having 2 inspections done and an additional 2. And it's getting crazier. And these are things that we haven't seen ever. A lot of things that have changed in the real estate market, and you can share that at the end of the program. All these new things that we're dealing with, we would have never thought. And so the last minute contract is a contract crisis. The contract, something dispute. I don't know what were your thoughts about that. You're on the real estate commission. So what could ever go wrong? It's in black and white, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of paragraphs that sometimes these things come up, such as maybe a seller can't convey title well because of maybe not even just a lien, but the way that it was written in the past for the past settlement or something that, these things come up and nobody wants to fix them, but it has to be fixed, right? So, and that's the time when I get the call and I'm like, okay, I have to go back and read that paragraph because we just don't deal with that every day. So let me see what the contract says. So, yes. So those are probably, people don't understand. And again, if you have an agent who's not going over everything with you and then you don't understand it, but that's what you're legally required to do. It's important that you understand what you're signing. So,
yes. And I love the fact the 2 biggest things in the 90 pages that we sometimes have in real estate contracts, Sandy, my 2 favorite parts of that is number 1, if you don't understand this, you have a right to seek legal counsel. Right. I like to highlight that sometimes because we are not attorneys. We do not practice law. We just don't make stuff up. That's already been done. And we have those resources out there. And I love the big part in the bowl. It says time is of the essence. Yes. Everything's on a time frame. You just can't be like, we'll get to that later about doing our, making sure we get our lender involved and get our application done. And we'll do our appraisal. We'll do that when we feel like it. We're going on vacation. We're going to Margaret Reedville. When we get back, we'll do that home inspection. So it's really important. And that's something I'm nutty about because most of the public, Sandy, does not know. If you miss a contingency date, the seller or buyer, they're not obligated to come back and be like, oh, that's no big deal. We'll give you more time. You can't. It's always easier to wave something goodbye than to ask for it to come back. So
100%.
All righty. Big thing. And we have so much more to cover, but we just have about 8 minutes left in the program here. Professionalism, examples of real estate, the commission, some of the things we're going to jump back to this. That's really important as a broker that I want you to share about ethical situations and agents and just the whole thing. What is really important about that? And then finally, we'll end things with the changes in the market. And I mean, as far as like the AI and the big stuff that we have to pay attention to now and how real estate may change in the future. So touch on those things.
I'm going to say the first two things that ethically that everybody needs to understand. Again, I've talked about this before. Make sure the client knows what they're signing. Go over it with them. Explain the process so that there aren't any surprises. And there's too many agents out there, again, that just send stuff over via email and just say, sign it. And then people don't understand what they're signing. And those are the complaints that come into the real estate commission. People don't understand and did not. And that's that fiduciary responsibility of ours to make sure people are clear about what they're getting into and what they're doing. Second, communication is key. Agents, answer the phone, talk to us. Nothing's worth, and something's going south. It's just like our buyers and sellers. Talk to us. We'll work through it. We have solutions, but when you ghost us, we can't fix it. And nothing is worse than a lender or an agent on the other side just not communicating and ghosting you. It doesn't help. We all need to work together to get it done.
Yeah. Especially about communication. You have my vow. I've been at the beach and I have my cell phone out in the ocean with me, and people say, why are you out here with your cell phone in the ocean? Because I'm a real estate agent. And then they go, oh, yeah. They get it then. Yeah. But it is important. You're right. Communication, understanding what's happening, all that. I think from my point of view, Sandy, as you well know this too, that the public, they just have so many assumptions, or I saw this on TikTok or YouTube, or my Uncle Bob told me this is how it works. The next thing you know, if you're an agent or you're a person that's out there not explaining things, you just send it over and say, hey, DocuSign. It used to be the day, sign if you're press hard, here's your pink copy. Right. And now it's DocuSign. You just go, just click. I know your work. You only have 5 minutes. We can get through this 70-page transaction for your offer or whatever. Yeah. Just click and go and we're done. And the sad part is, you're right. If the public doesn't understand or they don't know, next thing you know, they find out later, like, oh, I'm paying your commission. You never told me that. Yeah. That's not a good conversation to have later in the contract, or I didn't know about this or that, or it could be a million things. So,
right.
All righty. That's good stuff to know. And then the biggest changes, what would you say is the biggest change in real estate that you've seen, not just maybe since COVID, but in the whole time you've been in this as well?
Well, I think, we are going to talk about the AI thing that's happening, and it's advancing so much. And there are so many people out there who are relying on that now and asking ChatGPT or Claude or somebody questions. I had a situation the other day where a client came to our agent and they had written up a whole addendum for this offer that they wanted to write, and it was not in their best interest to have that addendum in there. So, what if they used ChatGPT or Claude? It was not giving them solid advice. So,
I didn't know that was an attorney.
Yeah.
Why?
And
if your name's Claude, you're an attorney, we love you.
So AI is great. It can help with a lot of things. It helps us streamline our businesses, helps us to be better at our businesses, helps us with marketing. But it is not the know-all and be-all and end-all. It doesn't have all the answers, and it's pulling answers from all over the U.S., and real estate is very local too. So it's not necessarily correct. So trust, but verify.
Yeah, I would say definitely the good part, and you know this, as far as like I tell clients all the time, especially sellers, the tools that we have, and especially with RE/MAX that we have now, that is just growing with all the AI integrated features with everything, is absolutely amazing. If we thought we were excited before about being able to market your property and all that, it has gone to such new levels where it is really good to help with property descriptions, because so many people are searching for homes now. Instead of going on all these third-party sites, they're starting to integrate, with the AI down to very specific things. And so this has helped us really up the game as far as marketing and the support, the back end systems, and all those things like that. But the bad part is, we finish up today, we're gonna focus on the negative things, because it's like this who's this behind the curtain that thinks they know more than we do, and we thought Zillow was the end all be all, or this person or that person or this or that. But the AI generated is advice, like you said, going wrong. The chat things. Another big thing is consumers rely on AI instead of professionals. Talk a little bit about that. Help me out.
Yes. So, again, AI may be, the national real estate market, or it may be pulling things from Zillow. I mean, we've had people who think that their home is worth, a lot more and then when we actually say, well, how'd you get that number? Well, Zillow comped your house with a shopping center across the street. It's not the same comp. So that's kind of where AI is now. It doesn't know what the neighbor's next door yard looks like. It doesn't know. It hasn't been in the basement to see, you're a hoarder and you've got tons of stuff in there that we need to get out. So, just asking those questions, you might get general knowledge, but you're not going to have the in-depth knowledge that you need and boots on the ground and eyes on the property and all those things. So,
yeah, nothing against Zillow. We love Zillow. Zillow's been a good tool in a lot of ways. So nothing there. But you're right. And even on the positive side, Zillow doesn't know if you have 14 karat gold faucets that you installed that,
correct.
You never, all the good, bad, and ugly and indifferent. That's why it's so important that we see your property, what's around it. It doesn't know about power wires across the street or a landfill that's right down off, Reels Mill Road. It doesn't know about that stuff.
Correct.
So that's why it's so important. And that's what, Sandy, that we're having a discussion to talk about. Hey, it's not a bad thing. I would never tell someone to not look at Chad or Gronk or anybody about any of this stuff. But just curious, where are you getting this from? It used to be, and I love Bob, who drives trucks. It used to come from, Uncle Bob told me, and that's what he experienced. And he got $1 million for his house. And I'll tell you what, I know I can get $2 million or whatever it is. But just because there's such an abundance and so much information that's being thrown at us in warp speed, the end of the day is, as agents, we calm down, we take our time. I take almost 2 hours to customize someone's entire analysis of their property, their home, and every ins and outs. And I've got it down pat on paper. And this is what's so important. But these, and then the deep fake scams, wire fraud concerns, talk about that. And then we got one more big thing I want to discuss, and then we're done.
Oh my. So yes, you absolutely want to make sure that you're calling your title company. Emails get hacked all the time. Agent emails get hacked all the time. And we're seeing scams where, hey, call us. We want to have a Zoom call with you. We've had, Darren, somebody called you to list a property and it wasn't them. So we thankfully, Darren had a funny feeling. So we actually sent something directly to the address of the owner of the property. And he said, I'm not selling my property. So, and these people had IDs and everything that they had faked.
Passports.
So, yes.
Not just IDs, passports.
So again, it's important to do your due diligence and, make sure that we are selling we've got the real owner of the property that we're selling. That's a big one right now.
Yeah. Something I never dreamed, Sandy, we would ever see in real estate when we started. Cause we just came out of the MLS with books and binders and cards and all these things like that, literally. And then, we used to pick up keys at agents' offices, and lock boxes weren't even hardly a thing. And then they became. So this is the thing today in technology, how fast things are moving. And this is something, Sandy, that I wanted to get your thoughts on, is this AI market predictions that are misleading to the public.
Mm-hmm. So again, real estate is very local. And if you are putting it into AI and they're pulling everything from the internet from all over the United States, that prediction for the market may be inaccurate. It's very different. The South right now is very different than the Mid-Atlantic, and California is very different than the Midwest. And so, but AI doesn't necessarily always know how to sort all of that out. It's giving you a big general picture from the entire internet that it's pulling from. So again, it's important to trust, but verify.
One of the things that we're working through now, and this is more recent, if you want to know the latest and greatest thing that's out there, and I'll not mention any companies because it's going to be on all these third-party vendors and places and sites that are out there by the hundreds coming up now, and more because everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. And this is this, and I'm not upset. I'm only concerned about this part, Sandy, with these sites giving advice that we would not give as agents, professionals that have done hundreds and hundreds of clients helping and serving and literally do this 60, 70 hours a week plus. They're giving out information just on the cuff of saying, hey, Mr. Buyer, if you're looking to, offer on this house, if you don't offer and do X, Y, Z, your percentage of getting that offer accepted by the seller is this low. And if you do X, Y, Z on this side, you got a 98% chance of getting it accepted. So now we have people coming to us as agents, showing us and saying, hey, did you know about this predictability? Did you know that I'm supposed to do X, Y, Z? What do you think about this? And here's where it poses two problems for buyers and sellers. Number one, Sandy, if we listen to these algorithms, these AI, these chat box things, whoever's doing this and suggesting these things, if we follow it to a T, what happens if the buyer's offer doesn't accept it? Who gets blamed? The thing online that doesn't exist, that's just a humanoid? Or do you think we as agents are going to get blamed? We as agents are going to get blamed, even though we didn't give that advice. Or they're going to say, we don't believe you. We believe this online. This must be more accurate, or this looks better, feels better. It sounds better. And then all of a sudden, when somebody doesn't get what they want, the only person they can blame instead of themselves would probably be an agent. And this is my concern, because we really we're not just telling you information to take advantage of any situation. It's to really, truly help you. And the same goes on the south side, Sandy. What are your thoughts about this? We already know you've got all these estimates and all these algorithms. I show sellers all the time. I can go to 10 or 15 different sites, and they're all going to have a range of value, and they're going to be wildly different, up to $100,000 plus in difference. And of course, as a seller, you're going to pick the highest of highs. And if I show this to a buyer, they're going to pick the lowest of lows. And now we have this massive gap of expectations and entitlement stuff going on that's going to go rampant. But the bad thing for a seller is they can miss the market. They can completely miss 100%. The buyers that are actually looking for their home by depending on something rather than the marketing and things that we know as agents. What are your thoughts on this? Because I am really concerned how much this is going to mess up and muddy the waters of real estate that should never maybe be.
Well, again, Darren, just like we've talked about all along, it's important for you to sit down with somebody face to face, nose to nose, and go over all the information. And, you know, you can look at that, but that, again, you've got to gain the trust of your client, and you need to take the time so they truly understand. And most people do. If you really take the time to explain it to them, and you can always pull your appraiser in too. You know, at the end of the day, if you're way off on price, let's get an appraiser to come in and give their opinion as well. And we always have to remember, appraisers' opinions are still objective. So even though you get an appraisal before you put it on the market, the buyer's appraiser may come in and see something different, but it still should be close. So the more information that you can have, again, locally, and sitting down and really talking to people about the whole process and educating them, it's, you know, take the time to educate your people, and believe me, they will trust you more than you think.
And sometimes the sport is almost like the weather. We can be educated and have thousands and tens of thousands of hours in this, but at the end of the day, nobody's perfect at predicting every little detail. And because there's so much moving parts in a real estate transaction, literally by the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that most people don't know about, anything can happen, and you definitely can't predict people's choices and personality types and decisions and life happening. And that's something that's so important. So as we finish, last words on what is your prediction as a broker for the rest of 2026 with real estate?
Well, I wouldn't expect rates to go down.
What?
They're going to stay steady.
They're not going back to 3?
Yeah. I think, you know, again, we're in a solid area. There's still a lot of demand. We would love to see 1,500 homes on the market, not just 600 and something. So double that. And then we are kind of in more of a balanced market. So there's still going to be low inventory, high demand, great time to sell. But just be realistic about your price at this point, because the interest rates are not going down. People's consumer confidence isn't fantastic, and the affordability isn't there. So yes, you're not going to get way higher than what the market is willing to bear. And listen to the market. If you have your property on the market and it's got a bunch of showings and you're not getting any offers, that's the market talking to you. They don't like your price.
That's it. You heard it from one of the best in the business right there. You said something about, you know, listening. I'm going to listen to you first, then I'm going to listen to the market later. How's that? So, Sandy, thanks so much for being our awesome broker here at RE/MAX Results.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on your real estate update and giving us some great information to really help everyone out there with all of our buyers and sellers and others. And so we appreciate it. And if anybody needs anything, we'll be able to get you in contact with her at any given moment, because that's her job. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Last words.
Thanks for having me today, Darren. It was fun.
Yes. Great time. We'll see you next time on the next episode, coming live from Studio 401 here in East Street in Frederick, and everything Frederick. Take care. Happy buying and selling. See you on the fun side of the island.
Thanks for joining Darren Ahearn on your real estate update. For more smart local real estate insight, market trends, and practical advice for buyers, sellers, and homeowners, follow and subscribe to stay one step ahead.
This episode is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network. Your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.